Hi,
Hello,
Chris.
Stephanie. Hey, it's
Hey.
great to see you. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, good.
Good. I'm happy to talk to you. I've been following your career for a long time, since Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and what you've done for LGBTQ plus visibility is so important. I'm a gay man. I work for Queer Press, so I just want to say thank you.
That means a lot to me. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Yeah, I feel like
Happy
this is going to be
you
a
can make it.
I know it's a weird pride. It's a weird pride. I mean, like I'm in it. I'm in it deep, and as a queer person, you are too. And you know what I did today, in prepping for this interview? I just reread your reflections on being bisexual in GQ from
Oh,
2018
wow.
about pride,
Oh, wow.
which I loved then, and I'm loving all over again. But before we launch into a chat about Twisted Metal, and as we close out Pride Month, I wanted to know, how has Pride Month been for you?
This one, like you said, it's been a hard one. It's been weird. There's a fear that's kind of raging across the United States of America. And it really is all of this is just based in fear of the unknown, of change, of things that are different, of of other people that you don't know. Um, but the fear is attached to legislation that's moving quickly through the systems that are in place, and that's really terrifying as a queer person. It's really heart-wrenching to read about the violence that our community is suffering through. And at the same time, I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful. I have to hold on to the hope. You know, the the flag for Pride does keep shifting and changing. And I think that's great. And yet at its core, it's this like symbolic rainbow of all of these different parts of us together.
Yeah.
And that rainbow is like, it's such a symbol of hope to me. And like I really hope that, you know, as as we keep moving forward, as humanity kind of keeps moving forward, that we can like keep pushing. Those of us that are in the queer community have to keep pushing because we are not seen as equal in so many places. And it's this is a hard one. But
Yeah.
I also, went out and bought a dress that was the bisexual flag and wore it proudly to everywhere that I could, just so that people would say, "Oh, I love your dress." And I'd say, "Thanks, it's the bi flag," and that would start a conversation. So yeah, I'm proud, but this has been a particularly hard one.
Yeah,
But it
you're right.
just means we have to double down. You've just got to double down.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Hit the streets, be with community, right? I mean, I felt it to be very nourishing, to be out on the streets marching with my friends,
Yeah.
with people I didn't
Yeah.
know, because we were all there for the same cause. We're all just standing up for ourselves and each other. Um, I love that you wore that dress. That's amazing. I I wonder, my whole life is journalism. So what I do as a queer person is processed through my work as a writer and editor. But as an actor, how do you do that? You've obviously processed this in your head and throughout your life. Um, and I've seen you in many roles in which you play queer characters. But how are you presently doing that in your work? Is that important to you?
How am I presently processing my own life through my work, or
No, like I
particularly
guess what's
related
going
to Pride?
on, yeah, like I constantly write about what's happening with all of this. And I'm just wondering, is it more important to you to bring visibility to the roles that you take? Are you actively looking for queer characters because you feel like this is a really important time for representation? Like, where do you go with the work when things are very hard as a queer person?
I mean, that's such a good question because my form of work, I mean, for example, Twisted Metal, we shot that last year. We shot it last summer, and it hasn't been seen yet. Um but I think no spoilies, but I think I brought my authentic self to that character. You can take that however you want to take it. I think right now, because I'm not currently working on a project this second, um, I've got to do some sort of like other creative expression, whether that's like and I don't know what that is right now in this moment, but I will say that one of the things I'm doing in my own life is that I'm trying from the jump to instill in my kid that this world is full of lots of kinds of people and that it's your job as a human to foster and grow empathy for others, particularly those in the queer community, particularly the people that are more vulnerable than you in the world. And I don't know if my kid's going to grow up to be queer or not, but this pride, this particular pride, I bought a lot of books for my kid. My kid is
Maybe
going
it's
to be
time to,
two.
maybe it's time you've written for GQ. Maybe it's time for a follow-up, right? On what pride feels like.
Maybe.
Maybe it's time
Yeah.
to write a children's book, right? On the very things you're
Maybe. That's a
talking
great
about.
idea, actually.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I mean, I have been reading a million children's books, and some of them are not great.
There you go. You write the great one. I I love that you just suggested to me that Quiet could have some elements of queerness, but it also sounded like you couldn't say too much. What can you say about Quiet and what you bring to that role when it comes to
Yeah,
authenticity?
I can say that she is an absolute badass. She works mainly from impulse and instinct. She doesn't always think things through. That's sometimes a good thing and a bad thing. And she's really driven by revenge. When the series begins, that is her ultimate goal is to get and have revenge. Everything else, whatever comes after that is like it's almost like that revenge is the thing that she sees and everything behind it is just like a black blur. And I don't know that that's a great place to be. I think it's very exciting for the series, but as you watch the character develop over time, that shifts and changes. And it's particularly because she meets the character of John Doe, played by Anthony Mackie. Um, and those two people meeting, it just dramatically shifts the tracks that they were both on shift and change because of that meeting. She needs a car. It's a world in which you have to have a car. If you've played the game, you know you got to have a car to play the game. And she doesn't have one when the series starts, and she tries to get one, and she tries to get John's car, and it's kind of like off from there. I think the main stuff that I think you'll see in terms of like who I am authentically is that as you watch the series, I think, you know, I certainly played this character in a way that feels like she's open to all possibilities. Whether that's in the world, whether that's learning about the world, whether that's fighting for what she needs, and whether that's about her possible romantic entanglements within the world. But I think we'll have to sort of see how that all develops over the course of not only this season, but like maybe if we get a second season.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I'm a few episodes in, and I will say I was struck by something that perhaps as a gay man I'm reading into, but I think there's like some queerness going on with Sweet Tooth here. Like, and I don't know what you can say about this, but like there are some real like kink S&M vibes happening.
Is Sweet Tooth a leather daddy? Let everyone be the judge. I'm not sure. There might be a sect of a group of people that really that might be doing it for them. I'm not sure. He does wear that gorgeous leather harness. Also clown pants. So, everyone don't yuck someone else's yum, as my sister always says.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, he also says to a man in the beginning of the second episode, puppy want to help. Puppy. I mean, puppy want to help is like a thing that I know gay men say to other gay men. In mainstream culture, I don't know what puppy means, but that's very well. I appreciate it.
I
Uh,
mean, I think as queer people, we're always kind of like watching things, looking for
yeah,
like little signs because for so long, we weren't given very much at all. So
that's
I
right.
think a lot of us, I mean, I can't speak for everyone. I'll say for myself, I was always looking for little signs. I was always looking for little signs. And so, as an
I'm
actor, you better be damn sure I'm dropping those little signs so people can pick up those little crumbs.
this series is it's one of those it's one of those series that I might not, if I didn't know you were in this, I'm not sure that I would tune in. And partially it's because as a gay man I feel like the alpha male vibe is like it's not appealing to me. But I started watching this and I was like, no, like you, Nev Campbell, like I'm attracted to strong women and have been since I was a kid. And I am down with badass women who show men that they can do the same things, but even better than them sometimes. What did you appreciate about the women and their portrayal in this series?
I like that they were fully fleshed out characters. They're not like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the sort of girl next door character, but there's other characters too. There's other people too. There's other failures of human beings, and I think in a lot of ways these women in the series are failing at a lot of stuff. They're not good at a lot of stuff. They don't know how to do a lot of stuff, but they're fucking gonna try. They're gonna try. And they learn as they go. Some of it's good and some of it's bad. That what they learn, how they apply what they learn. The struggle for power, I think, is a big element of this show that I think is really interesting. I mean, it's all under the cover of comedy, it's gallows humor, but there's a major power struggle in this series, between the haves and the have-nots. And I think for Quiet in particular, the series starts out as a very precise desire for her own needs to be met, and the scope of what she needs and who she needs to help, really shifts over the course of the season. And I like that. I like it so much. I like when characters are surprised by their own journeys, because it allows you as an actor to try to figure out what's going on, because that's so human. It's so human to be within your own sort of like, oh my God, I'm so confused about how I handle this. What's the next step? How do I live? And then also like put on the mask of like,
Sure.
everything's fine. I can handle it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just I love those two things happening at once.
I wanted to ask you a question about going back to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because you became really aware of, I think, what playing a bisexual character could mean to the world, because you had heard stories from people who came up to you, right, and would tell you like, hey, I saw this character and this sparked a conversation. And I'm wondering, how has your experience on that show of seeing what that can do what a character can do, what representation can do, how has that influenced other career decisions that you made after playing Rosa?
In terms of creative decisions, I certainly am open to playing people who are queer. I want to play queer characters. I had a conversation with a friend who I was explaining, I don't know that this was a long time ago, actually. I said, I don't know that is this going to, is coming out as bi and playing a bi character is going to pigeonhole me into only playing bi characters. And they said, well, so what? So what would be the harm in that? And I said, well, I don't want to just play one kind of character, right? And essentially what they said to me was, if that's the case, then how amazing in the end when you look back at your career, because like that will mean that everything that you did, you played a queer person.
And it was
And
actually meaningful, right, to you as a queer person?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think like, and no matter what, I'm bringing elements of my queerness to. It's impossible not to. It's just impossible not for me not to. Even if I am playing a straight character, even if I am playing a straight person or a lesbian or whoever I'm playing, right? Like I'm bringing elements of myself to it. It's impossible not to. That's what you do as an actor. Um, I am like right now. I'm sort of like in a weird waiting game while I wait for Twisted Metal to come out. So I haven't really been able to like actively look at slash take on other stuff right now. But
But
I'm
sure, but
really
you were
excited
you,
for
yeah, you were in the
what's
Heights
possible.
though, right? Where you played a queer character. So like after Rosa, it seemed clear to me that like maybe you understood what was happening, what you could do, and then took roles that might have had the same kind of impact. But
I would hope so. I mean, I don't know that I wish I was smart enough to think about it that way. And also like, some of the stuff, sometimes it's not my decision, right? Like I'm not in the place yet in my career where it is always my decision. Um, I want to influence those decisions to be made, but I'm not in a power position quite yet. But when I am on a set and when I can try to float the idea, I do because I think I need to. I want to.
awesome. They're
Um,
giving me the
so,
wrath, Stephanie. So
of course they
yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Deep in thought. Um, yeah, enjoy the last few days of Pride. It was a pleasure to meet you and talk to you. Thanks so much for your thoughtful answers, okay?
are. Nice.
All
Thank you
right.
for your thoughtful questions.
You got it. Yeah, take care.
Bye.